12 years of marriage. 2 kids, Leo and Toby. A house where the Wi-Fi works 70% of the time, and where weekends mean either board games with missing pieces or short road trips where someone inevitably forgets their toothbrush. Pretty standard. I'd call our life pleasantly boring. Natalie and I both worked. The kids went to good schools. We did yearly vacations like clockwork. Normal was our brand. Nothing fancy. Nothing Instagram influencer worthy. Just family, routine, and me trying to convince the kids that broccoli counts as French fries in disguise. Natalie used to be a sales rep for a cosmetics brand. It was fine, lipsticks, perfumes, lotions. I used to tease her. So, how many mascaras did you hypnotize people into buying today? She'd roll her eyes and mutter something about sales being science. Then, last year, she got the big upgrade. Pharma sales rep. Apparently, in the hierarchy of sales, pharma sits up there like royalty. More money, bigger commissions, shinier titles. I thought, great, more income. Family budget just got a steroid shot. Oh, how naive I was. See, pharma wasn't just selling fancy pills instead of lipstick. It was a whole new battlefield. A new workspace, new clients, new relationships, new routines. Basically, her entire life got a software update while I was still running Windows XP. At first, it all made sense. She came home stressed, frustrated, venting about her manager, her targets, her coworkers. I played the good husband. Sat there nodding. Uh-huh, wow, really? He said that? What a jerk. The whole 9 yards. Because that's what married couples do. We listen, we nod, and we pretend we don't want to stick our head in the oven halfway through the story. But then, she stopped. Stopped sharing. Stopped unloading. Stopped talking altogether. When I asked, she'd shrug and say, it's the same thing. Nothing new. Like, oh, okay, thanks for that emotional TED Talk. I'm glad I get less information now. Apparently, I wasn't her partner anymore. I was downgraded to background noise, like elevator music. She poured more hours into work. It's the requirement of the profile, she said. Translation, don't wait up. I'm basically married to Pfizer now. She'd come home late, tired, frustrated, collapsing on the couch like a soldier returning from war. Except instead of grenades, it was paperwork and managers named Rajesh. Barely a word for me, barely a word for the kids. Leo would ask, Mom, can you help with homework? And she'd mumble something like, not now, sweetie, Mommy's brain has crashed. And me? I'd get the usual excuses. Meetings, conferences, new launches, the holy trinity of her absence. I wanted to trust her. Really, I did. But trust doesn't stand a chance when it's up against cold, hard facts. And the coldest fact of all? Our bedroom act had dried up so fast it could have qualified as a desert. She was either too tired or not in the mood. Convenient, right? Meanwhile, I'm lying there like, wow, lucky me, I married a cactus. The signs were everywhere. Only a fool would have missed them. And I tried. I tried to play the fool, but even I have limits. Then came Sunday. Ah yes, the 3rd Sunday of the month where my darling wife had to work. Because, apparently, medical reps are now essential staff on weekends, right after firemen and pizza delivery guys. She got dressed, looking way too polished for someone who was about to file reports. And that's when I made up my mind. No more sitting in the dark like an unpaid intern waiting for recognition. Nope, I was going to follow her. So I did. Kept a good distance, channeling my inner James Bond. Except instead of an Aston Martin, I was in my Honda with the check engine light glowing like a Christmas ornament. And guess what? She didn't go to the office. Nope. She drove into some quiet residential neighborhood, parked in front of a house, and strutted in like she owned the place. My worst fear punched me right in the gut. After she went inside, I drove past just to see, and sure enough, it was a doctor's house. Of course, because why not add the cliché cherry on top? For 1 second, I tried to rationalize it. Okay, Aaron, calm down. Maybe it's work-related. Maybe she's just dropping off samples or bribing him with free pens. But then, why stay for hours? What exactly were they launching in there, huh? I imagined storming up to the house, pounding on the door, yelling, where's my wife? But even in my rage, I wasn't stupid. She could twist that against me in court faster than I could say alimony. Because let's be real, the guy's not going to answer the door naked holding a champagne flute. No, he'd come out in a lab coat, all professional, like, good evening, sir. We were just discussing antihistamines. And then, poof, my case is dead. I'd be the paranoid husband with anger issues. No, I needed something solid. Evidence. Photos, proof, the works. Because by then I wasn't thinking if I'd leave her. I was thinking when. And divorce? Divorce meant a custody battle, which meant I had to play this smarter than I've ever played anything in my life. Because whether we like it or not, the law has a little lean in one direction, and any wrong move could turn the tables around me. So, I controlled my impulsive thoughts, because storming in there would have just turned me into the headline of a cautionary tale, and instead I waited, plotting my next move like some discount Sherlock Holmes. When she finally came out, there it was, the smoking gun. She was wrapped up in his arms like a Christmas present. He dropped her at her car, and bam, kissed her. And not a polite, thanks for the free samples kiss. No, this was the kind of kiss that makes you wish you had bleach for your eyeballs. Lucky for me, my phone camera was already rolling. Evidence collected. Thank you, Samsung. Over the next few days, I became, let's just say, professionally nosy. I tracked her movements, watched her routines, the way she switched between her so-called professional meetings and her secret extracurricular activities. Most of the doctors? Sure, she visited them in working hours. But a select few? Oh no, they got the VIP treatment, after hours, in their homes, sometimes even hotels. Hotels. You don't check into Holiday Inn to discuss cholesterol medication. Let's be honest. And her demeanor. Oh, it shifted like magic. She wasn't just the polite, charming sales rep anymore. She lingered at their doors. She held on to them. And the goodbyes? Straight up lip locking. Not the friendly peck kind. Nope. This was Lip Olympics. I recorded every bit. Documented everything. At this point, even a blind man could have testified. This was not business. Unless the new pharma strategy was kiss to convert. That was enough for me. I'm a simple man. I don't play games. So, on the third day, when she came home, I confronted her. Calm. Straightforward. No yelling. No theatrics. No throwing plates. Just the facts, laid out on the metaphorical table. I wanted her to admit it, to just say it out loud so we could finally close this ugly chapter. I pulled out my phone, hit play, and let the video do the talking. Recognize yourself? I asked. That's you, right? And that's Dr. Love there, playing tonsil hockey with my wife. Her face didn't crumble. She didn't gasp or stutter or clutch her pearls. Nope. She went straight into Act 2 of the drama. Her eyes went wide. Her voice shot up an octave. How could you spy on me like this? That's an invasion of my privacy. I blinked. Privacy? Privacy? You're out here swapping spit with a man who prescribes antibiotics, and your issue is me pressing record. She crossed her arms, defiant. You had no right to follow me, Aaron. No right. I almost laughed. No right. Natalie, you park yourself in front of another man's house every other night like it was your new Airbnb, and I'm the criminal? What exactly am I supposed to do? Take your word for it that you were discussing product placement in a hotel room. She stomped her foot, like our kids do when I say no to McDonald's. This is betrayal. You violated my trust. That one hit me like a slap, but not the way she intended. I nearly choked. Violated your trust? Oh, that's rich. You're out here holding after-hours conferences with Dr. Kisselot, and I'm the one betraying you? Should I apologize for catching you red-handed? My bad for interrupting your networking session. Inside, I was dumbstruck. Absolutely floored. She wasn't ashamed, wasn't even defensive. She just pivoted the spotlight onto me like I was the villain of the story. Somehow, my crime wasn't that I caught her cheating. My crime was daring to notice. My crime was daring to prove it. And according to her, I had betrayed her. Suddenly, it wasn't about her kissing her way through half the medical directory. It was about me daring to notice. Somehow, my gathering proof became the crime. And apparently, I was the one who had betrayed her. I took a deep breath and leveled with her. No games, no theatrics. Look, I said, I don't want to play this mind game. I caught you cheating. I cannot forgive you, and I cannot live like nothing happened. I want a divorce, and that's final. We split the savings, we have joint custody of the kids. I don't want anything messy. I just want to get out of this. You can even keep the house, so the children are minimally affected. Her response? A scoff. A full-on Oscar-worthy scoff. You're overreacting. You don't understand my job. Sometimes being close to doctors is just part of it. They're old men. And, yeah, sometimes these old guys get a little friendly, but there's nothing to worry about. I couldn't help myself. I laughed, because what else do you do when your wife justifies adultery with a straight face? Let me get this straight, I replied. If your job requires you to be, let's call it what it is, a part-time hooker to these old farts, and you're okay with that? Then that tells me everything I need to know. And spoiler alert, I didn't sign up for that. She crossed her arms, full defense mode. You're twisting this. You don't get it. It's how the business works. I have to keep them happy. You think it's easy being in pharma sales? You think they respect women if we don't play the game? Oh, please, I shot back. Don't try and sell me your sob story like it's another miracle pill. You're not a victim here. You're not Florence Nightingale, bravely sacrificing yourself for medical advancement. You're just a hooker. Let's call it what it is. She still tried to downplay it, twist the narrative, and somehow paint herself as the poor, misunderstood sales rep who had no choice but to lip-lock half the city's medical board. But I was done. Done listening. Done arguing. Done entertaining this circus. I don't need a justification, I told her flatly. We've moved past that talking phase. I've made the decision, and it would be better if you cooperate. She wasn't ready to accept it, of course. Still spinning her stories, still refusing to take the L. But at that point, it wasn't my problem anymore. That night, I moved her stuff into the spare room. Told her it was for her own safety. Which, translated, meant, stay out of my sight before I lose my saint-level patience. And then, I did the most liberating thing I'd done all year. I put my lawyer on speed dial. The next morning, I did what any man with an ounce of self-respect and a mountain of evidence would do. I started the legal process. And that's when I brought in the big gun, Ron Jeremy. No, not that Ron Jeremy. This Ron Jeremy was a divorce lawyer who looked like a hitman and worked as a part-time DJ on weekends. Imagine Jason Statham in a three-piece suit, but instead of throwing punches, he throws subpoenas. When I walked into his office, he shook my hand with this calm, deadly grip and said, "Aaron, relax. I'm going to walk you through this. Think of me as your divorce god." I raised an eyebrow. Divorce god? That's a new one. He leaned back, smirked, and replied, "When I'm done, you'll believe in me." I swear, I almost expected thunder to clap behind him. The guy radiated the kind of energy that made you want to hand over your problems, sit back, and grab popcorn. Meanwhile, at home, the hardest part was the kids. Natalie had switched tactics. With her career defenses demolished, she picked up her last shield, Leo and Toby. She begged me to reconsider, for their sake. And I won't lie, that part stung. Every time I looked into their eyes, I wondered if I was breaking their little world apart, ripping away the comfort of having both parents under one roof. But I also knew the truth. Staying in the same house with her would poison them slowly. They didn't deserve a father drowning in bitterness, and they definitely didn't deserve to grow up thinking their mom's job included hotel loyalty points. It had been a week of me telling her, sit with the kids, talk to them, prepare them. But of course, she stalled. First, she needed time to mentally prepare herself. Then it was Toby's birthday, and she didn't want to ruin it for him. Translation, delay, delay, delay. She thought that if she threw enough guilt my way, kept playing the devastated wife, sobbing in doorways like a soap opera extra, I'd crack. That I'd say, "You know what, Natalie, sure, let's forget all the adultery and betrayal. Let's stay together for the children." But she failed to realize something crucial. I am not that man, never was, never will be. The more she clung, the more it annoyed me. I'd made my decision, and no amount of guilt-flavored manipulation was going to make me second-guess it. So, I booked an appointment with a child counselor the day after Toby's birthday. I told her point blank, "If you don't come, I'll take the kids and handle it alone." That cornered her. She had no choice but to tag along, still trying to play the victim. She sobbed in the waiting room, tears streaming like she was auditioning for Les Miserables. The counselor, bless their heart, helped us frame the conversation in a way that wouldn't completely shatter the kids. But as I sat there, watching Natalie dab at her eyes with Kleenex like she was the one being wronged, I reminded myself, I had Ron Jeremy, the divorce god, on my side. My elder one already had a sense something was off. He'd been watching us with those sharp, suspicious eyes kids get when they know adults are lying but can't quite prove it. My youngest, though, completely in the dark, bouncing around the counselor's office, fiddling with a toy truck, acting like we'd brought him here to meet a new playmate. Meanwhile, inside, I was tearing up at the thought of the disaster about to drop on them like a cartoon piano. And thank God for the counselor. Seriously, without her, Natalie and I would have turned that room into a WWE tag team brawl. She started by reassuring the kids, speaking gently. "Leo, Toby, no matter what happens, your mom and dad love you both very much. You are, and always will be, our topmost priority." She had that calm voice, like a kindergarten teacher mixed with a hostage negotiator. Then, with careful words, she helped us explain the truth. Their mother and I wouldn't be together as a couple anymore, but we would always be their parents. Cue the reaction. The younger one tilted his head, confused, like, "Wait, what channel is this on?" But the elder one? He cracked immediately. Tears came streaming down his face. Toby was first to ask, "So, we don't live together no more? No more family vacations? No more gaming evenings?" It broke me. Absolutely broke me. I hugged him tight and said, Hey, listen to me. We'll still do all those things. Maybe not exactly the same, but we'll figure it out. I promise." 10 minutes of sobbing later, I was ready to trade my soul just to make it stop. And right on cue, the younger one finally caught on. He ditched the toy truck, grabbed my arm, hugged his mom, then bounced back to me, basically trying to fuse us back together through sheer force of toddler willpower. Leo cried and said, I don't want to live apart from you. I want both of you. If heartbreak could punch, that was a right hook. And of course, Natalie had to escalate the drama. She started sobbing harder, turning the waterworks up to 11. Then she actually pleaded in front of them. Can we not do this? Please, for them. Look at them. I was about to say, oh, now you notice them? What happened when you were busy French-kissing penicillin suppliers at the Hilton? But luckily, the counselor stepped in before I said something unforgivable. She escorted Natalie outside, probably to knock some sense into her, or at least remind her that turning me into the cartoon villain in front of the kids wasn't exactly productive parenting. So there I was, alone with my boys. I pulled both of them onto my lap, held them tight, and said, listen, I know this is scary. And yeah, it's going to be different. But different doesn't mean worse. We'll still have gaming nights, vacations, fun dinners, all of it. We are still a family, just not in the same house anymore. The counselor did her whole Jedi mind trick routine, guiding us into repeating the golden script. It's not your fault. We love you so much, blah blah blah. And yeah, I get it, it's important. Kids internalize everything. Still, after the fifth variation of, you're not the problem, we're just two adults who couldn't manage not to screw it up. I wanted to raise my hand and say, hey, maybe let's just tattoo this on their foreheads so we don't have to keep repeating it. We tried to sell the two homes, double the fun angle. You know, like a timeshare with slightly less sunshine and slightly more trauma. See, buddy, you'll get 2 bedrooms, 2 closets, 2 of everything. I said, putting on my best used car salesman smile. Yeah, my older one muttered. And 1 broken family. Touché, kid. Someone's been watching too many after-school specials. But here's the thing. Divorce is a workout. Not for the heart, not for the soul, but for the sheer willpower it takes not to roll your eyes every time someone says, think of the children. Because trust me, I am. That's literally all I'm thinking of while dragging my sanity and my IKEA furniture across town. And let me make a PSA while I'm at it. If you're married with kids, don't screw it up. Seriously, don't go looking for a deal breaker like it's some sort of Groupon coupon. Be loyal, be honest. Because once the divorce button gets pressed, guess what? The kids don't just cope. They suffer. A lot. And there you are, packing your shirts into a box, wondering why your son now sounds like a miniature divorce lawyer grilling you about custody schedules. After the session, I pulled the classic dad move, ice cream. Their favorite place, 2 scoops each, sprinkles, the works. And still, they sulked like I'd just told them Disney was canceled forever. Nothing like spending $18 on sugar to watch 2 kids perfect their death glares. Meanwhile, I had my new place set up. Sounds fancy, right? Wrong. It was more man cave meets survival bunker. I started moving my stuff there, little by little, like a raccoon sneaking snacks out of a campsite. I involved the kids in the packing so they wouldn't feel alienated. Of course, they treated it like a funeral. Bye-bye, Dad's coffee maker. We'll never see you again. Thanks, son. Love the support. I didn't move out immediately, though. I gave them time to process, because ripping off the Band-Aid only works if the Band-Aid isn't shaped like 2 crying children. They know they can stay with me whenever they want. And yeah, I meant it. It's their second home. Even if it currently looks like an Amazon returns warehouse. But the final showdown. Brutal. Dropping off the last set of bags felt like leaving my soul in a U-Haul. The kids cried, begged, made me feel like I was betraying them in real time. They kept calling me, asking, can you pick us up? Can you stay tonight? And a few times, I did. Because, well, I'm not a monster. But then came the line in the sand, the boundary. I had to look them in the eye and say it, with all the grace of a dad who's watched too many YouTube motivational videos. Guys, I love you, but I cannot stay in that house anymore. It had been a couple of months since the bomb dropped, and the waiting period was officially over. Welcome to the world of divorce proceedings, where nothing says fun like paperwork, signatures, and bills that magically double because lawyers charge by the minute. The kids, at least, were stabilizing. Fewer breakdowns, fewer tears, and occasionally even laughter. The older one wanted to stay overnight once, which felt like a small win, but the younger one still needed his mom's lullabies, so I dropped them back. Honestly, I didn't mind. Keeping them in the same house was the least I could do. Their lives had already been spun like a tumble dryer. They didn't need me adding another 180 degrees flip. We were in therapy, me, the kids, all of us separately and together. Imagine it, 3 therapists billing 3 separate invoices. Also, we could sit in rooms with beige walls and learn how to communicate our feelings. Fantastic. But if it made the kids feel secure, I'd happily pay for every beige wall in town. Natalie, on the other hand, was stuck in the Hallmark Channel version of our story. Every drop-off or pickup was an audition for best guilt-tripping performance by a soon-to-be ex-wife. Lines like, "You're breaking the home," "Aaron," or "The kids cried themselves to sleep because of you," became her go-to monologues. She even started forwarding me reels about how children from broken homes turn into serial killers or tax evaders or whatever the latest pop psychology garbage said. For a while, I ignored it. Acted like she wasn't even in the room. She could have been a decorative lamp and I'd have treated her the same, although a lamp would have been more useful. But when the guilt trip reels started feeling like spam emails, I finally told her. The only reason the line of communication is open is for the kids. Not for you to play emotional Candy Crush with me. We're co-parents, Natalie. Company. Parents. Not co-stars in your melodrama. The sooner you get that, the better for you. That should have been the end of it. Spoiler, it wasn't. One evening, I rang the doorbell to pick up the kids, expecting the usual side-eye and passive-aggressive sighs. Instead, she was standing there with the smug grin of someone who thinks they've just checkmated you in a game you weren't even playing. "You know," she said sweetly, "I could fight for full custody." I blinked at her. "You what now?" Her shrug was casual, but her eyes were practically screaming. I rehearsed this in the mirror. Judges favor mothers. If I tell them you're erratic, that you ruined the marriage with your trust issues, they'll believe me. I could say you spied on me, stalked me. Doesn't exactly scream Father of the Year, does it? I leaned against the doorframe, crossed my arms, and gave her a slow clap. Bravo. Really. Best improv performance I've seen all year. What's next? Are you going to accuse me of plotting with the neighbor's cat? Or maybe leading a double life as a Russian spy? Her smirk widened, like she'd found a button to push. I dropped my voice low, steady, and said, "Natalie, stop." She tilted her head, smug as ever. "What? I thought you were just talking." She was testing me, dangling bait like I was some rookie fish who didn't know what a hook looked like. But I wasn't about to give her that satisfaction. I took a deep breath and said, "Listen, I don't want to make this uglier than it has to be. But let's not pretend for a second that this is about me. You're the one who was cheating. You're the one who broke this family. You can dress it up however you want. Therapy, soul-searching, finding yourself. But at the end of the day, you were out there screwing doctors while your kids were at home asking where their mom was." She tried to cut me off, but I raised my hand. "You can try to take the kids away from me if that makes you sleep better at night. Hell, I'll even say this out loud. If you want me out of their daily lives, fine. I'll walk away. But don't think for a second that means you've won. Because I'll wait. I'll wait until they grow up, until they're old enough to understand what really happened here. And when they are, I'll make sure they know exactly who destroyed their childhood and wrecked their family." I leaned in closer, lowering my voice but keeping my smile. "And when you're lying on your deathbed someday, you better pray for mercy, because the only thing waiting for you won't be forgiveness. It'll be your own kids spitting on your face for being the prostitute who put her pleasure above their home." I straightened, let the smile widen, and said, "So go ahead. Try to fight me. I dare you." That shut her up. For once. No comeback, no smug grin, no passive-aggressive jab. Just silence. Then slam. She hit that door so hard behind me it rattled the frame. Honestly, I was impressed. If door slamming were an Olympic sport, she'd be walking home with gold. I walked the kids to my car, trying not to smirk like I'd just dropped the mic. The drive home was quiet. Eerily quiet. Like a nature documentary where you know a predator is about to pounce. My eldest stared out the window, probably pondering the meaning of life or wishing he'd been born into literally any other sitcom family. The younger one, on the other hand, was humming some tune softly, blissfully oblivious, like the soundtrack to my tragic comedy of a divorce. When we finally got to my apartment, I parked the car, and my oldest turned to me. His voice was hesitant, like he already knew the answer but was hoping for a miracle. "Dad, are you and Mom ever going to fix things? Like Mom claims." And just like that, gut punch. My kid, looking at me with those big eyes, clinging to hope like it's the last cookie in the jar. My instinct was to sugarcoat it, but what good would that do? He deserved honesty, not fairy tales. I sighed and said, "No, buddy, we're not. Mom is taking time to accept this, but the fact is, we can't be together." He was quiet for a long moment. I braced for tears, questions, the whole 9 yards. Instead, he just nodded slowly and said, "Okay, that was it. No questions, no arguments, no begging for reconciliation like some TV drama. Just okay." And honestly, that one word hit harder than anything Natalie ever threw at me. He was accepting it, just like I had. Meanwhile, Natalie could keep fighting, keep threatening, keep trying to rewrite history with her greatest hits collection of guilt trips. But the reality was out there now, staring everyone in the face. And I wasn't looking back. At times I wish I could just vanish into thin air. Sadly, I can't. I've got 2 young kids, and no matter how hard it is to see her face, I can't abandon them. For their sake, I stay. What I couldn't swallow, though, was her threatening me. She was the one who messed up. She was the one who torched our marriage without even blinking. And now, even as we're heading for divorce, she refuses to take any accountability. Nope, not a shred of it. Instead, she goes full-on villainous mode, malicious, spinning the narrative, painting herself as some tragic victim. And boy, does she commit to the bit. She's out there reaching out to my friends and family, spoon-feeding them lies like she's running a catering service. According to her, I was this unhinged lunatic husband who spied on his sweet, innocent wife and then decided to divorce her over, wait for it, mere suspicions. I got cornered by my cousin Matt at a barbecue, plate in his hand, burger halfway to his mouth, and he looks at me like I'm some deranged tabloid headline. Dude, he said, squinting at me, did you seriously stalk Natalie? Like, put a tracker on her car or some CSI crap? I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my beer. Oh yeah, Matt. Totally. I had the FBI on speed dial, hacked her phone, and hired a guy in a trench coat to follow her around with binoculars. Real high-tech espionage stuff. I'm basically James Bond with a Costco membership. He didn't even laugh. Just frowned, like he was disappointed in me. Then Aunt Linda swooped in, because apparently family barbecues are now cross-examination court. And she goes, Aaron, honey, if you were feeling insecure about Natalie's success, you should have just talked to her instead of whatever you did. I blinked at her. Talk to her? Sure, Linda. Let me just rewind to the part where she wasn't sleeping with Dr. McDreamy on weekends and give that a try. Don't be sarcastic, she snapped, stabbing her potato salad. Sorry, I said, raising my beer. It's a coping mechanism. Try it sometime. And the cherry on top? My buddy Chris called me out of the blue, whispering like we were plotting a heist. Hey, man, Natalie said you flipped out 'cause she makes more money than you. Is that true? I almost dropped the phone. Yes, Chris, that's it. You cracked the code. Forget the evidence. Forget the late-night business meetings. It was just my fragile little ego crumbling under the weight of her paycheck. You know me. I see a W, 2 with more zeros, and suddenly I'm filing divorce papers. Silence on his end. Then so not true. 10 out of 10 Sherlock. Gold star. Case closed. The worst part wasn't even her lies. It was watching people I cared about look at me like I was the villain in some badly written soap opera. And the kicker? They had no idea what really happened. Right. Because when you catch someone red-handed, it's technically just a suspicion, isn't it? Then she adds extra garnish to her sob story. Apparently, I disapproved of her profession because I was insecure about her success. Yep, that's the version of me she's selling. The insecure, jealous husband who woke up one fine morning, stretched, yawned, looked out the window and thought, you know what? Let's just destroy my family for fun today. The first time I heard that angle, it was from my buddy Mark, who pulled me aside at the gym. Man, he said, between reps, Natalie told me you couldn't handle her being the breadwinner. That true? 'Cause if it is, that's kinda old school of you. I stared at him. Mark, you've known me for 10 years. I literally bragged about her promotion more than she did. Remember the steak dinner I threw when she got the raise? He hesitated, then shrugged. I dunno, dude. She made it sound like you were emasculated or something. I laughed. Yeah, because nothing screams emasculation like cooking filet mignon for 20 people and giving a toast about your wife's unstoppable brain power. Totally the behavior of a man in crisis. Then came my mother, God help me. We were sitting in her kitchen, tea in front of us, and she said gently, Sweetheart, maybe you did feel threatened, even subconsciously. A lot of men do. I almost spit out my tea. Threatened? Mom, she could have made $1 billion and I'd have been the guy standing outside with a foam finger yelling. That's my wife. The only thing I felt threatened by was her habit of deleting text messages faster than a mobster under surveillance. Mom gave me that look, the one where she thinks I'm deflecting. You always were sarcastic when you're hiding something. Yeah, I said, sighing. Like how I'm hiding the fact that she was hiding another man in her calendar. The final straw, though, was my friend Jamie, who called me late at night, all serious. Bro, was this really about her career? 'Cause Natalie said you were jealous and I cut him off. Jamie, listen carefully. If you ever hear me complain about a woman making more money than me, check my pulse. Because it means I've been replaced by an alien who doesn't believe in free dinners, upgraded vacations, or someone else paying the mortgage. Jamie laughed. Thank God. So she's full of it. Full of it. Jamie, she's running a Michelin-starred restaurant of lies. She's out here plating up 5-course narratives, and everyone's coming back for seconds. At first, when I heard this nonsense, I ignored it. I mean, let her play her little PR campaign. I figured the truth speaks for itself. But then, oh, no, then I got cornered by my family and friends. People who had absolutely no clue what really happened. Her parents accused me of being insecure because she was thriving. Thriving, they said, like screwing half the medical board was a career milestone. Even my parents got in on it. You should have seen things with open eyes, my mom told me. People have to be polite in the sales role, my dad added. Like I'd been overreacting to a handshake instead of catching my wife groping doctors like she was auditioning for Grey's Anatomy, the after-hours edition. And you shouldn't invade her privacy, my mother chided. I was fuming. I mean, she played the helpless, wronged wife so well, she should have been nominated for an Emmy. And the sad part? People bought it. They started doubting me. Me. One evening, I went to pick up the kids. My eldest son, Toby, wouldn't even look at me. He was cold, distant, completely out of character for him. I crouched down and asked gently, "Hey, bud, what's wrong?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "Mom said, you don't love her anymore. She said you're making us leave her because you're angry at her job." My blood boiled. That was it. That was the moment I knew I wasn't going to let her get away with it. You don't just torch my name. You don't drag my kids into your soap opera. So, I pulled out the big guns. I collected everything, the videos, the pictures, and dumped it all neatly into my drive. Then I shared the link with every single person she had lied to. No long speeches, no dramatic pleas, just the receipts. And oh, the evidence spoke louder than I ever could. She's going hand in hand with them into a hotel. The doctor's grabbing her, but kissing her, touching her inappropriately in public. She's caressing their arms and thighs like she's shopping for produce at a farmer's market. And if she was that comfortable in public, well, one could only imagine what happened behind closed doors. Her mask fell off instantly. Silence. Pure, delicious silence. Her parents? Just a blatant, "Sorry for judging you," from her dad, like I just told him his golf swing sucked instead of exposing his daughter as the town hobby. My parents also called, apologizing for not standing with me. It was satisfying, sure, but also exhausting. Because why the hell did I have to prove myself in the first place? Why was I the villain in everyone's mind until the literal video evidence rolled in? Why did people assume the worst about me before even considering that maybe, just maybe, she might be the one at fault? And before I forget, yes, I told Toby. I sat him down, looked him in the eye, and said, "Son, your mom wasn't just working late. She was out sleeping with another man. Multiple men. I know that's tough to hear, but you deserve the truth. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." His eyes went wide, but I'd rather he hear it from me than grow up believing his mother's bedtime stories about me being the jealous psycho. It didn't stop there. Oh no, the Academy Award-winning performance of the wronged wife wasn't her final act. When everyone turned their backs on her, she tried a new approach, bribing the children. Because clearly, if you can't keep your marriage intact, at least you can buy your kids' affection with a shiny new toy. I overheard a conversation between my boys while they were playing. My younger son, eyes wide like he'd just discovered Santa Claus was real, asked, "Do you think Mommy will buy us a new PlayStation?" My eldest, Toby, without missing a beat, replied, "Yeah, she said she will. And also the flying remote chopper and a new bike. She's going to get a promotion soon, and then we'll have more money. She'll also take us to Disneyland and on a cruise." They both giggled like they'd just won the lottery. And then Toby, bless his little loyalty, hushed his brother and whispered, "Keep it down. Daddy can't hear this. He can't go with us." That one stung. A dagger wrapped in giggles. And then my younger one, with all the subtlety of a foghorn, squealed out, "Mom's the best. Wish Dad could make as much as Mom. The fun would be double." Oh, fantastic. Not only was she screwing doctors, she was also screwing with their perception of me. My wife, the homewrecker turned motivational speaker, was now running a PR campaign to convince my kids I was the loser in this story. The woman who burned the house down was telling the kids I couldn't buy better matches. I wasn't jealous of her success. Let her climb the corporate ladder in heels sticky with moral bankruptcy. What enraged me was the way she was planting the idea that I couldn't give the kids the life she could. That I was less fun, less money, less worthy. No, absolutely not. If she wanted to play dirty, fine. I had mud, buckets of it. So I sat down at my desk, cracked my knuckles like a hacker in a bad Netflix movie, and drafted an email with all the lovely evidence. The butt grabs, the kisses, the thigh caresses, basically her LinkedIn endorsements in living color. And then, oh yes, I attached everything and sent it off to her HR department. But I didn't stop there. No, sir. I went full scorched earth. I CC'd every top corporate email I could find over the internet. Obviously, no company wants their employee to sleep with clients, at least not openly. They don't expect their sales team to come with a buy one, get one free bedroom package. And if they do, they certainly don't want it caught on email and passed around like office gossip or dervs. So yeah, the company didn't take it well. They fired her. No severance, no gold watch. Not even a thanks for all the business and the bad press. Just, click, gone. The best part? She still has no clue it was me who leaked it. In her head, she's starring in some office drama where her colleagues, jealous, bitter underlings, banded together to take down Queen Natalie. Apparently, she thinks the big smoking gun was her bringing in too much business, which, let's be honest, is like bragging about selling water in the desert when your method was spiking everyone's canteen. Unethical? That word doesn't even begin to cover it. The kids, of course, were crushed that mommy couldn't fulfill her promises. The new PlayStation? Gone. The drone chopper? Cancelled. Disneyland and the cruise? Yeah, unless she's taking them on the jungle cruise at the local mall fountain. That's not happening. One night at dinner, Leo crossed his arms and frowned at his mashed potatoes. Mom said we were going to Disney. I leaned over and deadpanned. Buddy, right now the only Disney trip she can afford is streaming Frozen on the couch. Let it go. Toby snorted milk out his nose laughing, but Leo didn't think it was funny. Fair. But let's be real. She broke her marriage vows long before she broke the bank of promises to the kids. She was juggling pot-bellied doctors like circus pins and then trying to play supermom with Monopoly money. It's hard to feel sympathy for her when the biggest victim in her story is her ego. And yes, I can already hear the peanut gallery. Aaron, that was too far. You should have just let her face her own consequences, man. Be the bigger person. To which I say, why? Why should she get to waltz off into the sunset, climb her slimy little corporate ladder, and throw around her dirty money to make me look like the broke, bitter dad? Nope. She made her bed, several beds, actually, and now she can go lie in them, without the company health plan. These days she's back at her cosmetic sales job. Oh yes, the mighty queen has returned to hawking lipsticks at 20% commission. Somehow, I don't think it compares to entertaining cardiologists in penthouse suites. As for me and the kids, look, I know half of you internet experts suggested I fight for sole custody. And I thought about it, I really did. But dragging them through that circus right now doesn't feel like the best move. They've still got their routines, their school, their little sense of normal. One night, Leo asked me, Dad, would you take us away from Mom if we wanted? I looked him straight in the eye and said, Sweetheart, if you and your brother ever tell me that's what you want, I'll fight like hell. He nodded, and for the first time in months, I think he actually believed me. I'll be honest, when the divorce papers were signed, it wasn't the catastrophic, Hollywood-level meltdown I'd been bracing for. No epic court battle, no dramatic alimony demands, no one throwing shoes in the courtroom. Since Natalie and I were making about the same amount, there was no division of assets. Basically, the lawyers shrugged and said, you two are equally broke. Congratulations. She got custody of the kids, I got visitation rights, and I was ordered to pay child support. Not alimony, though, which I counted as a personal victory. If there's one thing I refuse to fund, it's my ex-wife's Frappuccino addiction. Now, the kids were, well, the kids. Toby wanted a dog. Leo wanted a dog. I was against a dog, but apparently, I'm just a glorified yes machine when it comes to my sons. So what happened? A German Shepherd puppy happened. Big ears, big paws, and a bladder the size of a shot glass. Dad, can we name him Thor? Toby asked. Thor? He weighs 10 pounds and just peed on my sneakers. Yeah, but he's strong in spirit, Leo added, dead serious. I sighed. Fine, but when he destroys my couch, I'm calling him Loki. The boys cheered. Thor peed again, and I knew my carpets were doomed. 6 months post-divorce, I decided to start dating again. Let me tell you, dating in your 30s with 2 kids is like trying to sell a car with a salvage title. People might take a test drive, but they rarely stick around. Still, I managed to meet a few decent women. Nothing too serious, but at least I got some free appetizers and didn't have to listen to TED Talks about manifesting abundance like I did in my marriage. Meanwhile, Natalie? Not so lucky. Every guy she dated stuck around just long enough to have sex, then bolted the moment she mentioned the words, I have 2 kids. Apparently, that phrase is the male equivalent of yelling fire in a crowded theater. I'd hear about her dates through the grapevine. Yeah, a mutual friend once told me. She met this guy who said he was fine with kids, but then he left when one of the boys called him Uncle Weirdo. I laughed so hard I nearly spit out my coffee. To be fair, if my kids called me that, I'd run too. It didn't take long for the tide to turn. The very kids she once used as her emotional crutches became, wait for it, a burden. Who could have predicted that 2 growing boys with endless energy, messy rooms, and the comedic timing of stand-up comedians would be hard work? Then, a year after the divorce, my phone buzzed. Caller ID, Natalie. I answered cautiously. Hello. Her voice was tired, worn, like she'd just lost a fight with her makeup mirror. Aaron, she said, I can't do this anymore. The kids, they're too much. I can't keep up. You can take custody. I nearly dropped the phone. For a split second, I thought it was one of those prank calls where someone asks if your refrigerator's running. Wait, I said slowly, savoring the words. You want me to take full custody? Of my own kids? Yes, she sighed dramatically. I just can't handle them anymore. I muted the phone and fist pumped so hard I almost gave myself whiplash. Then I unmuted and said, as calmly as possible, oh well, if that's what's best for everyone, I'd be more than happy to take full custody. Inside though, oh, I was already planning the victory parade. A year later, life had taken a complete 180 for me. I was no longer the guy sitting alone in a quiet house, staring at visitation schedules like it was some kind of depressing advent calendar. Nope, I had the kids full-time now, and let me tell you, the house was loud, chaotic, and messy, but it was my chaos. Our chaos, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Oh, and I got married again. Yep, you read that right, married. To Kelly. Remember when I said I started dating 6 months after the divorce? Well, that wasn't just a midlife crisis Tinder fling. Kelly stuck around. Not only did she stick around, she walked right into the middle of our circus and said, yeah, I can handle this. Brave woman, that Kelly. The kids love her. Toby once whispered to me, Dad, Kelly makes pancakes better than you. I wanted to ground him for treason, but he wasn't wrong, so I let it slide. Meanwhile, Natalie. Oh, poor Natalie. She's still out there trying to find her soulmate on dating apps. Except, apparently, every guy she meets suddenly remembers he has a dentist appointment for the rest of his life, right after 2 weeks of dating. Imagine that. It's almost like men don't want to sign up for her sob story plus 2 kids she can barely handle. Shocking, right? So they pump and dump her. The kids have even started making little jokes about it. Leo once asked me, Dad, why does Mom always introduce us to new uncles who disappear? I had to cough into my fist to hide the laugh. So yeah, here I am. We're married, full custody, kids thriving, puppy growing like a weed, and my ex still running on the world's most depressing dating treadmill. Karma has a sense of humor, and honestly, I'm here for it. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.